For years, Prince Edward remained the quiet figure in the backdrop of royal affairs, a man who seemed content to avoid controversy, media attention, and palace drama. As the youngest son of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, he was often seen as the most reserved Windsor sibling. While his brothers Charles and Andrew faced public scrutiny and his sister Princess Anne gained admiration for her tireless royal duties, Edward kept his head down. He rarely appeared in headlines, much less ones involving scandal. That is, until now. In a revelation that has shocked even the most seasoned royal watchers, Prince Edward has finally opened up about his perspective on Princess Diana, the woman who, in many ways, transformed the modern monarchy. His words have sent ripples through the royal family and across the globe. After decades of silence, why has he chosen this moment to speak? What prompted this departure from his carefully cultivated discretion? Some believe it is guilt. Others suggest it could be a desire to set the record straight about a period of royal history that remains controversial and painful. Or perhaps Edward simply believes the time has come for greater honesty about what really happened behind the palace walls during Diana's tumultuous years as a royal. Whatever the reason, his statements have reignited interest in Diana's life and legacy, particularly how the monarchy responded to her unprecedented popularity and vulnerability. Prince Edward's tone was measured, but the substance of his words carried significant weight. His account doesn't aim to rewrite Diana's legacy, but rather to add complexity to a story that has long been cast in black and white. For years, the narrative of Diana was a tragic one, the young princess who was chewed up by the rigid royal machine, a woman beloved by the people but isolated by the institution. But Edward's reflections suggest the truth may be even more nuanced, and potentially more damning for the royal establishment. So why did Edward, known for avoiding controversy, finally break his silence? Perhaps the answer lies in his unique position within the royal family. Edward and Diana were not particularly close in the public sense. They did not have a widely publicised relationship, nor did they share the intense emotional highs and lows seen in Diana's interactions with other royal family members. Yet Edward was always there, watching, listening, and absorbing. He was the observer, privy to private moments that the public never saw. When Diana first married into the royal family in 1981, Edward was a young man barely out of his teens. From the sidelines, he watched as his brother Charles married a beautiful, shy nursery school assistant in what the world believed was a fairy tale come to life. But Edward, being closer to the core of the family, saw more than just a televised spectacle. He recognised the signs that Diana's entry into royal life wasn't going to be smooth. He noticed how unprepared the institution was for her charisma and emotional expressiveness. Unlike others who engaged directly with Diana, either as allies or critics, Edward maintained his distance. He wasn't part of the internal feuds or the power struggles. Instead, he became a quiet witness to her meteoric rise and devastating fall. Over time, he observed how Diana's authenticity, her deep empathy, and her genuine ability to connect with people became both her strength and the monarchy's greatest challenge. As Diana's popularity exploded, Edward noted how it created an uncomfortable imbalance within the family. Crowds no longer came to see the Queen or the Prince of Wales, they came for Diana. The public's adoration of her, while a blessing in the eyes of many, made her a disruptive force within the centuries-old institution. Edward saw this clearly. He saw how Diana's natural magnetism began to eclipse Charles's carefully managed public persona. He saw how jealousy, resentment, and confusion started to build among the royals. But more importantly, Edward saw Diana's pain. He watched her struggle with the expectations of royal life, the lack of emotional support, and the intense media scrutiny. While the world saw a radiant princess smiling in designer gowns, Edward saw a woman grappling with loneliness, rejection, and mental anguish. He understood that behind the glamorous facade was a person desperately trying to make sense of her role in a system that had no blueprint for someone like her. For years, Edward stayed silent. Perhaps he believed that speaking out would be a betrayal of the family code. Or maybe he simply wasn't ready to confront the complicated emotions that came with witnessing Diana's unraveling. The royal family's motto, "Never complain, never explain," was not just a catchphrase, it was a survival strategy. The palace prided itself on dignity, secrecy, and tradition. Speaking publicly about internal matters was considered taboo. But then came Diana. From the start, she was a different kind of royal. She wore her heart on her sleeve. She cried openly, spoke candidly about her struggles, and admitted when she felt isolated and unloved. She rejected the idea that royals should be emotionally inaccessible. In doing so, she redefined what it meant to be part of the monarchy, but also shattered the illusion of perfection the royal family had worked so hard to maintain. Edward, watching from the shadows, understood what was happening. He saw how Diana's openness exposed the monarchy's shortcomings. Her vulnerability revealed an institution ill-equipped to deal with emotional transparency and public accountability. While others in the family tried to rein her in, to silence her, or push her aside, Edward remained a quiet observer, but even he could not ignore the way Diana's humanity changed the monarchy forever. According to Edward, Diana wasn't just a victim of royal tradition. She was also an agent of change. Her influence wasn't limited to charity work or fashion. It penetrated the very core of how the royal family interacts with the public. She forced them to reckon with a world that was rapidly evolving, one that no longer accepted stoicism and detachment as signs of strength. She made empathy a central part of royal identity, something that, for centuries, had been absent from the throne. Now, with Edward finally speaking up, we gain a fuller picture of Diana's impact. He doesn't cast her as a saint, nor does he deny the challenges she posed to the institution. Instead, he offers a sobering account of what it was like to watch history unfold from within the palace walls. He describes how the monarchy tried to mould Diana into something she was never meant to be, and how that failure cost them dearly. His words also raise important questions about the future of the monarchy. If Diana's story reveals the cracks in an outdated system, can those lessons be used to build something more humane and modern? Or will the institution continue to cling to its old ways, refusing to adapt until it's too late? For royal insiders and historians, Edward's reflections represent a rare glimpse into the soul of the monarchy, flawed, proud, and still struggling with the legacy of a woman who refused to be silenced. His account isn't just a tribute to Diana, but also a warning to the royals of today. Silence may protect the crown, but truth has a way of finding its voice, eventually. In the end, Prince Edward's decision to speak out may prove to be one of the most significant moments in the post-Diana era. His soft-spoken insights have added depth to an already complex narrative, and his courage to confront the past might just help the royal family move toward a more honest future. For now, his words echo far beyond the palace gates, reminding us all that even the quietest voices can carry the most profound truths.